My dad presented me with this keepsake of photos and news clippings that my mother had saved and suggested I make a video about them. I'm just going to randomly take out some stuff. Sheila, Uncle Mike, Rosemary, and me at Janet's house. Me in front of our catalpa tree, 27 Elliott Park. Drawing. With a quote from a song by Eddie Money. Baby David. Ring boy David at somebody's wedding. And the ring girl. Or the flower girl. My first wedding that I was part of. Baby David. And my mother, maybe. There we are. Graduating from kindergarten in '67. In a plaid jacket. Maybe that's Tammy Conway, a neighbor. On the right. I remember getting that toy, I think, at a play. I was in Oliver, the cast. Didn't get the lead, but 68, I think. A little monster toy. Maybe I was 8, maybe I was 10. We went to Nantasket, I think. Maybe with neighbor Tammy again on the right. '71 it says. Original Polaroid. There was probably junior year, sophomore year, high school, doing some sort of theatrical production. My famous scarf look. High school graduation. Bill Fortier on the left, then Sven Pantano, Bob Flanagan. Sven and Bob worked at Sawyer Mills with me at the grocery store. '79. Ireland. 1995. That's me and Donna in hats getting a lecture on Celtic Cross. Me on the left, high school graduation. And some other people, not sure. I was a little chubby as a kid. Me in Ireland playing slide guitar with cousin Carol's maybe husband. 1995. I had a shot. One of their 9 or 10 kids in the background. Dad and I went to the Computer Museum in Boston, where I was in a traveling show from the Seagraph Art Show. This is a piece of mine called Tara in Cosmo that was printed in little sections on 8.5 by 11-inch paper, mounted together. This, you can see the title description on the right. Here's a write-up. Computer as palette. About the show. The world's first major exhibit of computer art goes on display at the Computer Museum in Boston this month. Probably 1993. Exhibit includes 50 pieces. This photo appears to be me in a tuxedo at Jerry's first wedding. I don't know who that girl is, probably one of Karen Schechter's friends, bridesmaids, but behind me is John Reeves, one of Jerry's high school and college friends. That's how I recognize this photograph. It was 1984. I was living in Los Angeles and I missed the Olympics because I came home for that wedding. There's me with one of my Lightbox prints. And another framed print of computer art. And here's me maybe working as dishwasher? I don't know. Lounging in Dover. Long-haired 16-year-old. Sheila. And myself and some other child. Here's me and my mother, probably my dad at my first Holy Communion or first confession, whichever comes first. First categories. Me and Marie. This is actually Marie's birthday. Happy birthday, Marie. Me and PK, cousin PK. Mrs. Emack, my graduation from high school. She was neighbor next door. Me and Beth. Cousin Julia, myself, Jerry, some other kids. In 8th grade, I was in a production of Damn Yankees. I drew these guys with a playbill. I had 4 roles, I think. I had been in basketball, so I was too late to get one of the leads, but I had 4 minor roles. And I also painted the backdrop for the devil scene, the devil's mask that somebody could walk through. A little doodling on the back. I was in a computer art show, 1991, University, New Mexico. And they put my piece on the cover of the flyer that they sent out, that I mailed to Mr. and Mrs. Glynn when I was living in beautiful Palms area of Los Angeles. Big blurb about it. Karen Mobley, the curator. And here in junior high, 1975, I was asked to draw a painting above the lockers near the principal's office. He was very supportive of me and painted this Pegasus. And this is actually the horse ear, and it was there for several years, so my sisters Beth and Sheila got to see that when they went to junior high, I believe. And when I had a one-man show at the Santa Monica Art Center at Bergamot Station, a digital gallery, this guy, Ben Green, and his outfit, Color Sound, performed an instrumental set for the opening. His review of the show, which called me 20th Century Wizard, listing of the show. Not sure what this is. Somebody also in junior high. Looking forward to 1976. I did this cover drawing. Looks like a collection of poetry or something. Various people. There's my drawing of Robert Frost. Maybe this was published later because I don't remember doing that until I was high school aged and taking a course in New Hampshire literature. Betsy Wheeler. Sheltered Valleys. A friend of Marie's who introduced me to another friend of their families, Carol McCartney, who set me up in California when I went to art school. And Butler. Another Betsy Wheeler poem about California, Escondido. And here's a one by Karen Schechter. I did a portrait of their dog and my brother's first wife. I don't really remember this thing, but it's interesting. Continuing with a family of 5 kids. Beth must have been like 2 or 3. Here I am, probably around 1989 in my compartment, 1-bedroom bachelor, with a computer art print of Charles, some of my other work, and I could fry things up on my hot plate. Here I am with long hair, the wedding of my boss, David Kearney, probably around 93 or 94. The wedding was attended by Ringo Starr and Jeff Lynne of ELO. Here's a letter, maybe to an aunt my mother sent, showing some of my art and being concerned about her father's gout. A picture of Donna and I. She made some tie-dye. Not sure where that was. It's probably around 94. Here we go. Garrison School, 8th Annual Talent Show. Black and white. I did that cover drawing in 5th or 6th grade. And I also did a big poster of it over 8 feet wide that hung above the stage where we had a talent show. And I sang a song, Lean on Me. I had piano accompanist, which was good because I got so nervous I stopped accompanying myself on guitar. But people clapped along at the appropriate parts. And Pam Gowan, who was in my sister's class, was very good at carrying on with the music. I also performed guitar backup for Steve Macchio on Crocodile Rock, where he got so nervous he almost walked off stage, but I pulled him back on, and that was good. I guess this was 8th grade. Or 6th grade? Yeah, Garrison School, 5th and 6th grade. And yes, I did the program cover and the mural. Look at this hand-typed, mimeographed little playbook. Announcement. David Michael in a basket. Selective service. I had to register for the Army, even though there wasn't a draft at that time. They sent my parents a notice. My 18th birthday was coming up. I remember going to the post office, signing up for that. Fortunate when you were not at wartime. Here's a junior high school report card. E for effort. Doing good in most areas. No absence, no tardies. Math was just satisfactory, but there wasn't grade for art, though there was phys ed. The practical arts included boys cooking. Here's a copy of the letter of recommendation from Howard Fox, the curator of contemporary art at Los Angeles County Museum of Art. I was applying for a residency at the Banff Center in Canada, and he wrote me this very nice review talking about how my work stood out. An odd self-portrait. Here's a copy of the stories in the New Yorker where I was quoted in the Talk of the Town section and referred to as a painter named David Glynn, who had found a book that had been reviewed at a Soho bookstore. Here's a Dear Mommy letter when I was in San Francisco. Illustrated letter, which I didn't do a lot of. This is dated 9/8/80 when I was 19. Here's a picture of Mommy and Daddy. Janet getting engaged. Marie playing field hockey. White House. Sheila on skates. Me in a car. Maybe that's Jerry. From when I lived in San Francisco next to Golden Gate Park. Here's a letter in 86. I was living at my friend Carol McCartney's loft at the Brewery Building Art Complex in downtown LA. I used her stationery for Studio 2 and 3. Dear Dad and Jerry and Richard and everybody. I have been working with her doing a video, and I sent them a tape on the VHS. Here's an article about me in the Foster Daily Democrat, the one I used to deliver after inheriting the paper route from my brother, Jerry. I was having a show my senior year at the local bank, Stratford Bank, where I eventually got a loan to buy my first computer to make art with in '85 that my father had to co-sign for. And that was a pretty nice interview where I talk about an artist having to have something inside of you to create, and my early work doing portraits in oil for $40 or $50 each. And then going on to say that I was going to work in a factory to pay for college that my father worked at in the computer office of David2 Rubber. Here's another picture of me in the Daily Democrat, 79. Playing guitar for our high school baccalaureate service. where my friend Bill was also singing. There's another article, David Glenn, annual student. Here's another small article. It says I was selected as one of 2 artists to represent New Hampshire in a show that was going to be exhibited in Washington, D.C., showing the work from all 50 states. A charcoal drawing of a backyard scene of a bulkhead bicycle in the back of the house. Goes on to quote my teachers about my techniques, and also I'm going to RISD in the fall, and then mentions he is the son of Patricia and Gerard Glenn of 27 Elliott Park. Here's some photos of me in some high school theater productions, including being on a tandem bicycle on stage, and in How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying by a local photographer, Alan Richardson, who did a lot of yearbook photography. This is a photograph, probably more likely in Martha's Vineyard. My uncle Kevin Scanlon was a photographer and did a lot of darkroom work. Here's some more pictures with me and PK, me at Nantasket Beach, probably age 8 or 9. And here's some probably around 2005 with my wife Donna at a lake, New Hampshire, before we went to Paris. A house my brother Jerry was probably renting. Here I am in 1976 in Washington, D.C. when we drove down to visit one of my mother's friends in Fairfax, Virginia. I got to go to the National Gallery, looked around the whole museum, couldn't find the Last Supper painting by Salvador Dali, and I went to ask in the gift shop, and they pointed up and said, "Oh yeah, it's right there." Some more pictures. Here I am belting out a tune with a microphone on stage. I went to 4 proms with my girlfriend down the street, Tammy Conway. There's 2 of the fashionable nylon tuxes I rented. Here I am in a production, probably of Camelot, where I was in the chorus, and Marie was also in this community production where they had real adult actors. I was not an actor, just another Irish guy who liked to sing. Here's a Polaroid of me with my mother and brother Jerry. And lastly, some early computer art shot from the screen monitor, probably on my Atari ST computer. Some abstracts. And big imagery of a picture, which I had done in painting before. 3-legged table, a house, and a picture of my sister Sheila, who I had drawn on the screen with a mouse. Rosemary's Baby, Emily Starr.